Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool. And I do a lot with survival tools for the kind of the preparedness, survival, EDC, or everyday carry space. And one thing that always seems to come up is LifeStraws. You can buy them in bulk in Costco. They seem to be the kind of the go-to for a lot of things. Are they worth it? Do they work? How do they compare with some of the other types of filters? So that's what I want to address today. And I'll do it quickly because there is a lot to this, and you'd probably need to do more homework in order to get down to the nitty-gritty, so I won't be talking much about microns or viruses, etc. But what I will say is that the LifeStraw does what it does very well, but it has significant limitations. So with that said, let's take a look at some of the things that go on with water filtration and water purification. In this setup here, there is only one purifier, and that's this guy. It's a Catadine water bottle, and it's got a virus stat filtration system in it. This actually pulls out so much stuff it would be considered purified water. The rest of these just filter water. This is an MSR ceramic water filter. If you're pushing through or you're using ceramic inside, a ceramic filter, pop this out, show you what I mean. What you're looking at is a ceramic, very hard, almost like porcelain cylinder here that you need to apply tremendous pressure to force the water through. But this will actually stop a lot of stuff, including viruses. This might count as water purification or purification as well instead of just filtration. Others use some sort of a filter system, and I've got a few other similar to LifeStraw here. This is the Frontier emergency filter. Here's the common Sawyer filter. LifeStraws. This is, I don't know if they still make this. This was LifeStraw's aluminum version. I'm not sure why, since it does exactly the same thing as this and it doesn't have a replaceable inside, but I'll go over that in a moment. MSR is a specialized one here for radioactive particles. I use other things. Day Response is one for third world countries, and then I've got bigger ones like Berkey's and Culligan's, etc. But let's talk about the LifeStraw. Inside this plastic tube that weighs about 1.7 ounces is a whole bunch of very small tubes that kind of look like straws. And what they do is the water enters from this end, and it enters because you're creating with your mouth a vacuum on this end, or a low pressure. So the pressure trying to equalize pulls it inside into these tubes, these very small tubes in here that actually have really small holes. They're 0.2 microns, which is plenty small for most biological threats. It doesn't take out heavy metals and things like that. It was designed for biological threats. The guinea worm in particular. It's a solid company. They do great stuff around the world. Inexpensive, rock solid performance, but highly limited. So what happens when you suck on this end? Water goes in here, you can drink through it. Now, of course, there are limitations there in that, well, let's say you want to store water in something, say a water bottle like this. How do you get water from here into here? Well, you could suck on it and then spit it in there and then fill this up. That's possible. Or you could fill this with dirty water, and then when you're thirsty, you just stick this in and drink out of it. Those are two solutions. But you can see there's a limitation versus the ability to filter it directly in, such as this, this system, which allows you to fill water bottles and then carry the water. Another limitation is, let's say you don't have the strength, or you're young, you're a kid or a baby, and you need water. How do you get it? Again, the same thing. It'd be like the mama bird. You'd have to suck the water as the adult out of here and then spit it in something else, into a cup, and then have the kid drink it. Not the end of the world, but certainly something to think about. It lasts, they say, about 1,000 gallons or 4,000 liters. I think that's highly optimistic. Sometimes people compare it to the Sawyer. This says it's good for 100,000 gallons, which is crazy, except you have to backflush it quite often. Now, a couple of reasons why you don't backflush these. One is it probably doesn't work because you'd have to force the water back through the system the other way and clean out the pores in order to get flow again. But this has like if you could imagine tubes that are like screens, and the screens, each of the little squares in the screen clogs, and as those clog, when you backflush it, it doesn't push the debris or the protozoa out of the screen hole. Instead, it goes around it in another place, so it actually doesn't clean the screen. These actually can be backflushed, and I do that quite often, and it comes actually with a backflushing device, but it does have the ability to backflush it, point 2, assuming you have clean water. If you have nothing but dirty water, you can't backflush a filter, or you'll just put dirty water in the clean end, and then you'll end up causing contamination. Another problem with the LifeStraw is you can't make them gravity fed, or not easily. And filters like these are gravity fed. In other words, you can insert these in line into a tube system, and then you can fill a bag and let gravity pull the water through it. And so you can actually get quite a bit of water with very little effort. These do require a human on one end to literally use their mouth and suck on it. Another point with using your mouth, if you look at all the pictures, or a lot of them, they show people with their face exactly this distance from a contaminated water source, which I don't believe is a very good idea. What do? Get a container, scoop the water, and then stick this in and bring it up away from the water source, and then suck on it. And don't stick your face way down. In fact, sometimes you can't even get down to the water source. That's where things like this, you can hook up a system and then plug it into a pump system like this one. Whoops. And then once you've got a pump system going, then you can literally pump water up from a distance. And I've been in situations where we had to do that through ice and through rock. You just simply couldn't get to the water. Some systems, like this MSR one, are kind of a combination. There is a mouthpiece, so you can suck through this just like a straw, or you can pump it. I have to be careful because it sounds like a dog toy, and if you saw one of my previous videos, you know that my dog enjoys playing, so I have to be careful a $50 filter doesn't turn into a 5-minute dog entertainment piece. But anyway, so these can be inline filters. This one you could put as an inline filter as well if you wanted, but the LifeStraw, you can't make it as an inline filter. This particular LifeStraw, it's made of aluminum, has a finely machined tip on it. I'm not sure why they made these. They do exactly the same as these $20 ones. These sold for about 50 bucks. You can't change the filtration on the inside, but what you can do is you can pop out kind of this carbon pre-filter that is in the base of them. It's exactly the same as the base of this one, is my understanding, but this one you can replace. So, whatever. I think something like this might be fun for people who want to support the mission of LifeStraw around the world and then have something special. But I haven't seen these for sale in quite a while. Anyway, LifeStraw, it's a rock-solid performer. It will take out some things, not others. I'll let you do your homework on that, depending on the area that you're in, but I have no trouble using it. They're great. I carry one quite often. We have these staged around in the wild. Sometimes when we're doing long trail runs, things like that, there will be one at a creek crossing hidden somewhere, so we can actually drink when we're there. But I travel with them. Sometimes I use them in cities because I don't trust the water in that area. Or I use a larger one. And then I have some of these in my specialized kits that use special filtration. In this case, this one removes radioactive particles. This does not, but that's not its mission. It also doesn't remove a lot of heavy metal contaminants, stuff like that. Berkey filters do very well for that. Culligan filters do well. MSR filters do well. Catadine filters, Pelican filters. But is the LifeStraw good? Yes, it is rock solid. Go ahead and use it. Just understand its limitations. And with that, Doc out.